Let me begin by asking both Dr. Rastogi and Mr. Mehrotra their own take on the best way to find meaning in life. Dr. Rastogi, if you could begin with some of your thoughts.
नमस्ते एवरीवन, मैं यहाँ बात करने आई हूँ, तो मैंने रिक्वेस्ट किया अपर्णा को कि जो सेकंड वीडियो है उसको बाद में दिखाएं, क्योंकि मुझे बात करना है, मैं आई इसलिए हूँ. एवरीबडी अंडरस्टैंड्स हिंदी? यस. तो माय फर्स्ट टेक इज़, जो इन्होंने बोला कि आपका क्या सोच है, अभी हमने सुना, इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल मैसेज फ्रॉम हर ऑन वीडियो. आई रियली रिस्पेक्ट दैट मैसेज. तो उन्होंने ये कहा कि हम बॉडीज़ को यूज़ नहीं करते, तो मैं भी फिर से यही कहूँ, और सारी जगह पे यही नॉलेज है, हम माइंड को ओवर यूज़ करते हैं. तो हेयर एंड नाउ हम माइंड को ओवर यूज़ ना करके अगर हम अपनी थोड़ी बॉडी को यूज़ करें और थोड़े इमोशंस को यूज़ करें, तो शायद ये सेशन आपके लिए ज़्यादा मीनिंगफुल हो. मीनिंगफुल इन लाइफ, मीनिंग इन लाइफ इज़ अ बिगर क्वेश्चन. व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग मीनिंग इन दिस सेशन, that has to be absorbed in every cell of the body, in your heart, in your mind, in your body. नहीं तो it is too much bombardment of the knowledge. Meaning in life, Google पे टाइप करो, इतना सारा आएगा. तो may I start with a small task? If Mr. Mehrotra, you permit, it will just take 5 minutes. Thank you, thank you. So close your eyes. Keep this. मुझे वर्कशॉप के लिए बुलाना चाहिए था, यहाँ आके मैंने देखा वैसे. एनीवे, मैं कन्वर्ट कर ही लूँगी, क्योंकि मैं इतना बम्बार्डमेंट ऑफ थॉट्स में अभी यकीन नहीं कर रही हूँ. आई एम MSc मैथमेटिक्स, PhD एजुकेशन, बट हो गया बहुत. तो यस, प्लीज़ क्लोज योर आइज, जेंटली क्लोज योर आइज. फील योर सेल्फ एज अ बर्ड. आप एक पक्षी हैं, यू आर अ बर्ड, और आप रात को सो गए हैं. यू आर अ बर्ड स्लीपिंग. टेक अ डीप ब्रेथ. रिलैक्स योर बॉडीज. अगेन फील यू आर अ बर्ड स्लीपिंग. Now the morning has come. Do the first task, sitting or standing or speaking. Use your body, use your voice. Use the first task, what the bird do. Yes, be light and experimental. Do. The morning has come and the bird, वो जग गया है. करें? ची 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 ची. Open your eyes. जाग गए हो तो ओपन योर आइज़. किसी ने भी नहीं किया. चलो कोई बात नहीं, ऐसा समझा होगा कि अभी मैं एक्सरसाइज के बीच में हूँ. तो कैसे होता है, अभी आँख खोलें. ची 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 ची. ठीक है, ऐसा होता है ना. यस, क्लोज योर आइज अगेन. यू आर योर सेल्फ. और रात को सो गए हैं. आप जो हैं वो हैं. खुद को इमेजिन करें आप रात को सो गए हैं. सुबह हुई है, आप उठे हैं. आँख खोलें और प्लीज़ रेज योर हैंड्स. आप बताएं फर्स्ट एक्शन क्या होता है. फर्स्ट एक्शन, मोबाइल. मोबाइल में क्या, किसका मैसेज आया, क्या नहीं. सो अगर सारा लाइफ के मैसेजेस मोबाइल में आएंगे तो हमें मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ के लिए बहुत बड़े बड़े सेमिनार्स करने पड़ेंगे. तो द फर्स्ट मैसेज इज यूज़ योर बॉडी, यूज़ योर बॉडी एंड यूज़ योर वॉइस. ऐसा ऐसा कुछ. ये डांस, मैंने देखा भी डांस थेरेपी का वर्कशॉप था. रियली वर्कशॉप था या सुनना ही था? वर्कशॉप था. कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस. हाँ, तो यस, तो फर्स्ट मैसेज इज़ यूज़ द बॉडी. फिर मैं बाकी बात बाद में करूँगी. थैंक यू.
Thank you, Dr. Rastogi. So I have heard Mr. Mehrotra constantly say that what makes our heritage so valuable is that it's a great mix of both wisdom and method.
She's throwing it back.
So I think we just got an example of our of method. And while I know that Mr. Mehrotra is great with method as well, having been a personal student of His Holiness for many years, but Mr. Mehrotra, if you can sort of start with speaking about what you have learnt, your thoughts on that big conundrum that I think all of us face at some point in our lives. What is the meaning of life? Why are we alive? Why do we come? What is the larger purpose? Is there a larger purpose? Is there meaning? That's the other question. Is there meaning at all, or is it completely meaningless?
I have to say that this has got me sort of twisted a bit in a round and round the mind, not cluttered by knowledge, but purely intuitively, that we often use, and Aparna knows that I have often argued, that we use words and we haven't really reflected on what we mean by it. And obviously what each one of us means by it will be different. And that includes the idea of a meaningful life. And I think that the question of whether we are leading a meaningful life comes up when obviously we experience some level of dissatisfaction with our lives. So as I've argued that when you're really happy, the question of happiness or what is happiness doesn't come up. And when it does come up, you stop being happy. So I think we first need to recognize that this very aspiration is very ineffable, which means that difficult to pin down. And what do we mean by a meaningful life? And what brings me meaning may not bring you meaning. And we all aspire to a meaningful life because we have somewhat been conditioned to have particular expectations of life. So I think that's where the problem starts. And we can look at this aspect of meaning in so many different layers. I mean, for example, can we exchange meaning with life? What is the purpose of life, which is slightly a different shade of meaning to the meaning of life, to what is the value of life? I mean, there are so many synonyms that will go with the very idea of a meaningful life. And so we are under sort of social pressure to live a meaningful life. It's been a long time since I read, the famous novelist Tolstoy. And here was this man who was writing these great masterpieces and being, sort of celebrated around the world and transforming people's lives. And suddenly he collapsed and he said, what is the meaning of my life? So I think the first thing we need to do, and I have no prescriptive solutions because I am an aspirant of life, I struggle, and I look at ways of trying to reinvent myself, and sometimes I'm so overwhelmed with life or aspects of life that I find no meaning. And I was just talking to Aparna's wonderful father, and I was sharing with him that at some point when I thought I was doing very meaningful work, managing an NGO, supporting independent documentary films, I was suddenly grounded because the Comptroller and Auditor General decided to come and investigate what I was doing. I mean, my work and my books, and Aparna's witness to it too. And I was absolutely traumatized. And I suddenly wondered whether what I was doing really had meaning if I had to put up with all of this simultaneously. So I just share this to be mindful of our civilization in particular, in which we are, I think that a state of contented, non-aspirational being is a very sought after ideal. So when the sage sits in the mountains and meditates on his navel, he feels he's leading a meaningful life. as I suppose does the mafia fellow in Bombay, who is driven by what he's doing, experiences his life as a meaningful one. And then if we look at the idea of, say, evolutionary biology, where you forget all this vocabulary and you forget philosophy per se, so the evolutionary biology drives us as a species, and all species, to merely exist and keep evolving physiologically. But it is the imperative to exist and survive and keep living that so drives us. I'm not talking about distorted emotional, mental states where obviously that aspiration is compromised in some significant ways. Now we find even that in a major shift in what we experience or which communities experience as a meaningful life. They change. And they change not just for individuals. So today we find that the post-pandemic experience in the United States, whereas before the pandemic, about 1995, I was just reading this data yesterday because I thought, I should have something sensible to say because I hadn't thought about it and before this. And I just struggled with my life. And some of it had meaning and some of it didn't. So I said, well, what is the world saying about this? So I went to a famous magazine called The Economist, and they talked about how before the pandemic, more than 90% of people felt that their fulfillment was defined by their jobs, and their ambition related to their jobs and the success in their jobs that then enabled them to deal with the physical aspects of their lives and bring them luxury and comfort. So even as we are bombarded with a lot of mental knowledge and stimuli, we are also obsessed with our physical selves. Can we beautify them? Can we live the perfectly healthy life? Etc., etc., etc. And they found post-pandemic that this number had fallen to below 50%. And suddenly in the United States, people have stopped wanting to continue with the jobs they were doing because they found, whatever it means, that there was no meaning in what they were doing. And so they're now looking for meaning, and cannot be prescriptive. It has to be, in my view, somewhat experimental, that what will give person A meaning will not get person B meaning. So we can evolve our theories about meaning and not knowing what we really mean about it, and then follow someone else's prescription for it. And so I will offer my prescription with great trepidation to say it's only my prescription. It is not the prescription. And this is something that I know I tire my friend Aparna always with talking about everything being relative. And very often what we need is something tangible and concrete to hang on to. उसने कह दिया, हमने कर दिया, उसका output हो गया. आप ये करिए तो ये हो जाएगा. I wish that were true. Because if that were the case, I certainly have not found it. So, and we cannot abdicate responsibility for our own sense of fulfillment and the quest for meaning for any formula. People can present their different formulas, and we ultimately have to take responsibility, become aware and assess them. And I'm just pointing to a few, such as I gave you of evolutionary biology. So the natural impetus is for us to exist, and that is enough for the species, and all species. And that is the sort of the inherently physiological impulse embedded in all of us, whether it's procreation, whether it is survival. So that is meaning at one level. Then, of course, that as you turn to the different religious traditions, and you have certainly, in religions where you have the idea of the divine, and so it means fulfilling the divine, or the divine is fulfilling itself through us, and so we surrender to the divine, and that will give us meaning. No, that's not invalid. It works for people. And it makes a lot of people very virtuous. It gives them a framework of action, a framework of values. and something larger than themselves to whom or which or an idea that they can surrender to. And so that gives their lives meaning. And then you come across, of course, into philosophies or practices such as Buddhism. And in Buddhism, of course, there is no divine, but there is the notion of reality. And so we believe that you cannot find meaning unless you become aware of the true nature of reality. And even as I say that, as I said before and I said yesterday, that there is no single nature of reality. Quantum physics tells us that depending on the observer, reality is different. However, there are some sort of general principles of what reality is, and if we don't recognize and accept that reality, the question of meaning will keep coming up. And so what is that nature of reality? The nature of reality is that we will go through elements of physical suffering, we will go through efforts of mental conflict and aspiration, and how can we not be moved or impacted when someone else is suffering? How can we not, as we grow older, experience, problem with one's knees and with one's body, because the body goes through its process. So an obsession either with the perfect body or as the reservoir of our solutions may not be entirely valid, yet we can turn a physical challenge into an opportunity that is fulfilling. Have you guys ever seen films of blind people playing cricket? My God, it's so empowering and gives meaning to my life when I watch it. That with all those physical challenges, these guys are playing cricket. Just look at the kind of ways in which people can transcend the body to find meaning. So the ways are completely, they're infinite. And not every blind person will find value from playing cricket. But the principle, is certainly is valid. And so we say in our tradition that to be awakened to the true nature of reality and a balance between acceptance and volition. So His Holiness often tells us the story of a monk, because the aspiration in Tibetan Buddhism and Buddhism is of compassion, and compassion to the infinite degree, really. So this monk was in the Chinese Gulag for 30 years, and he was released. And he came back very, perky and full of beans. And when the Dalai Lama asked him, what was the most difficult part of your being in the Gulag? He said, when one day, for a brief moment, I lost my sense of compassion for the guy who was torturing me. So his meaning in life, within the confines of a Chinese Gulag, he found meaning in trying to practice and exercise compassion. So, and I will stop very soon before she presses the bell to say I've been talking for too long, is that, ultimately, in my sort of general sense of it, that meaning, whatever meaning is, I will treat it as an amorphous word, inherent is some sense of values, something larger than ourselves. Again, as yesterday I spoke about softening of the self. So the minute we soften our self that is worrying about meaning, we find the equanimity, the equilibrium, where a defined craving for meaning is as counterintuitive as being miserable, as a natural state of being. And so in Buddhism, we are not saying, not Buddhism, in general, we are not saying that desire is wrong. Is that if desire is circumscribed by a value, and the most enduring value that helps us and makes a difference in the world is compassion. Now, if you have no other context in which to experience or manifest compassion, you do it to your jailer.
Difficult indeed.
Possible. Aspirational.
Right. So, what I'm hearing really from you is that life, in a sense, is about the management of expectation. Because we're filled with so many expectations, and if we can figure out, because life cannot be free of desire, but if we can manage that desire and give it, I mean, in the Buddhist context, perhaps compassion, and different contexts for different people, then perhaps it becomes something which does not eat away at you, and perhaps adds to you in some ways. And of course, the softening of the self and what that does. So that self which is constantly looking for meaning, if the self disappears, then perhaps the self, the search for meaning also disappears. And I'm reminded of your Chidiya wala experiment, because when the Chidiya gets up in the morning, it's certainly not wondering what its meaning in life is.
Yeah.
It just wakes up and it does chi 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 and just goes about life without thinking, acha, am I happy with this? Why did this one say that to me?
Yes.
Etc. etc.
So we can't be Chidiya because we are different. That was just to send a message, to share a message, use your body. Yes. So chalo, Aparna challenges us ki how we are different from Chidiya. So Chidiya, of course, is not suffering that unbearable lightness of being. The Chidiya is very small and very light, but she is not suffering from unbearable lightness of being. But we are suffering because we need some burdens, some heaviness, some weight on us to have that meaning. How can I be so light? Just dancing and chirping and enjoying the life like Chidiya. No, I'm a much greater evolved human being, and I have to suffer this lightness or suffer with the burdens, with the problems. There should be some occupations. Yes. So nature and animal life just teaches us that some life force in us really want to be used as physical life force. हमारा जो पूरा division है, बॉडी, माइंड, हार्ट एंड इमोशंस, जो कनेक्शंस में अगर हम सारे सेगमेंट्स में अपनी एनर्जीज को डिवोट नहीं करेंगे, देन वी विल बी वेरी मच सफरिंग फ्रॉम दिस फाइंडिंग मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ. सो दिस इज वॉज द स्टार्टिंग मैसेज. अभी जैसे मैं अगर अपनी लाइफ के बारे में बताऊँ तो थोड़ा सा आपको कन्विक्शन लगेगा कि आई एम अ दिल्ली गर्ल. दिल्ली के स्कूल्स में मैं पढ़ी हूँ. 9th क्लास में मुझे ये क्वेश्चंस आते थे कि व्हाट इज़ द मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ. ये वो उस टाइम एक सर्वोत्तम डाइजेस्ट आती थी पत्रिका हिंदी की, और ये सब साहित्य. माई बोथ पेरेंट्स आर PhD इन हिंदी, तो उसका सारा लिटरेचर पढ़ना, प्रेमचंद, ये वो, फाइंडिंग मीनिंग इन लाइफ, तब से ये क्वेश्चंस थे. देन आई फेल इन लव, देन लव मैरिज, देन जॉब, देन फिर भी ये मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ. और बट मेरे को लगा कि इसमें ही सब सेटिस्फाई होते हैं तो मुझे भी होना चाहिए. बट कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ऐसा था. फिर सबने बोला, मैंने सोचा मदर तो मुझे कभी बनना ही नहीं है, इट्स अ ग्रेट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. लेकिन फिर किसी ने ऐसे सजेस्ट किया कि वही तो मीनिंग इन लाइफ होगा शायद. तो इतने क्योस में और वो सब, क्योंकि शादी तो किया ही था, तो अब अभी थोड़ा जनरेशन, आई एम 53, माई डॉटर इज़ 24, तो फ़र्क तो है अभी का और तभी का सोचने में. मुझे कहा चलो इन्हीं लोगों पर ट्रस्ट करते हैं कि शायद बीइंग मदरहुड इज़ वेरी मीनिंगफुल फॉर वुमेन. तो मैंने वो स्टेप लिया. बट विद ऑल द ब्लेसिंग्स ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंस, बड़ा कॉन्शियस स्टेप था बीइंग अ मदर. मैं सारा लिटरेचर पढ़ा कि कैसे आप फिर एक कॉन्शियस उसको इनवाइट करोगे. ये बहुत सारा यही काम है ना, पढ़ने का, दिमाग को सारा जोड़ देने का. तो फिर somebody gifted me a book, a magazine of Osho. उसमें क्या था कि द टाइटल वाज द खलील जिब्रान का जो वो है कि योर चिल्ड्रन आर नॉट योर्स, दे कम फ्रॉम यू. तो मेरे को फिर कैसे मीनिंग होगा, ये तो मेरा ही नहीं है. तो फिर अगेन अ क्वेश्चन मार्क की मीनिंग इन लाइफ. नहीं, बड़े अच्छे से पाला है मैंने अपनी बच्ची को, बहुत लविंगली, बहुत डिवोशन से, क्योंकि वो मिल गया था फिर आगे मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ किसी और सेंस में, नॉट डायरेक्टली कि ये. तो कैसे हुआ कि मैंने सोचा कि मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ का अब क्या करें. फिर ये जैसे हम पढ़ते ही रहते स्टोरीज, बुद्धा, ये सब मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ के लिए सब छोड़ के चले गए. अब हम तो छोड़ के नहीं जा सकते, हम प्रेग्नेंट, ऑल्सो जॉब भी करना है, खाना कौन देगा. अभी वो लाइफ नहीं है कि आई कैन बी अ मॉन्क टू फाइंड द मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ. कितना भी इंटेंसिटी हो, बट वो नहीं कर सकते. तो यू हैव टू, यहीं पे वो एक सेंटेंस मैंने किसी कविता में पढ़ा था, न सिद्धार्थ भागो यहीं रह के जागो. तो हमारे पास वो लिबर्टी नहीं है कि बीइंग अ वुमेन ऑल्सो इतनी सारी चैलेंजेस हैं. तो नहीं, तो फिर वहीं पे कैसे मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ फाइंड करें. तो उस सारी जर्नी में जो अभी ये जर्नी ऑलमोस्ट 24-25 ईयर्स की है, तो उसमें जो स्टेप्स आए, तो अभी थोड़ा सा ही समय है तो बहुत सारा, मैं इसलिए बोला कि नॉलेज इज़ ऑफ कोर्स वेरी वैल्यूएबल, मैंने भी इतना एब्जॉर्ब किया तभी ऐसा किया. बट अभी जो मेरा टीचिंग है वो बड़ा थेरेप्यूटिक हो गया है कि अगर 5 days के लिए लोग मेरे पास आते हैं, लाइक हम रेजिडेंशियल रिट्रीट्स करते हैं या 1 day के लिए आते हैं, तो मुझे बड़ा एक कनेक्शन होता है कि अरे ये भी मेरी तरह से ऐसे ढूंढ रहे हैं कि ये. तो अभी मैं द अदर डे आई वाज रीडिंग कि एक लोगोथेरेपी होता है, सुना है लोगोथेरेपी? तो उसका फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या होता है? व्हाई यू आर नॉट कमिटिंग सुसाइड इफ देयर इज नो मीनिंग. हाँ, तो इस क्वेश्चन, चलो क्लोज योर आइज, लेट्स क्लोज आवर आइज. इट्स लर्निंग बाय डूइंग. मेरा जो बैकग्राउंड है, आई एम अ टीचर एजुकेटर, बीएड को पढ़ा है, तो यस, लर्निंग by doing. Close your eyes and figure it out for yourself कि why you are not committing suicide. If there's no meaning in life, find the answer. I don't feel motivated enough to find the meaning of life and there is no meaning of life, so why not to commit suicide? Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. हाँ, वो चिड़िया को अपर्णा कभी वो क्वेश्चन नहीं मिलता है कि मैं सुसाइड क्यों करूँ, चिड़िया को नहीं मिलता है, तो हमें मिलता है. तो एनीबडी वांट टू आंसर दिस कि व्हाई यू आर नॉट कमिटिंग सुसाइड? यस, होप है आगे अच्छा होगा. यस,
मतलब आगे कुछ हो जाए,
कुछ अच्छा हो. यस, थैंक यू सो मच. एनीबडी एल्स?
Like being in the present, I would say like right now when I close my eyes and thought of it, I'm grateful for whatever I have, and that is what has keep me going. Like I have good family, I am sent to a good college, I have the facilities and the privilege. So yes, why not to utilize them and be there?
Yes, actually, yeah.
I think that we have meaning in life, but hello, yes, I think we have meaning in life, but as humans, we're constantly searching for more meaning. So while we do that, we hold on to what we have in life. It could be friends, family, our career, passion, profession, anything. But I think meaning does exist. It's just that we always seek for more meaning as humans.
ठीक है, वेरी नाइस. यू आर गिविंग मी अ न्यू स्टार्टअप. या मोर मीनिंग. यस,
हेलो.
ये दिस गर्ल इन फ्रंट, देन आई विल से या दिस इज द लास्ट, फिर हम फिर डिस्कशन करेंगे.
Yeah, so what I thought to that question was, because I had no choice to be born, I just existed. And despite of that, the people around me gave me so much comfort that that I wouldn't take that step is because of them. I will think twice that what they have given me and what I am leaving for them. So that is what keeps me going.
Yes, very nice. As a counselor, I often hear this answer, क्योंकि मम्मी पापा ने इतना किया है तो फिर उनको बुरा लगेगा, दुख होगा, तो मैं इसलिए नहीं मर रही हूँ, नहीं तो मैं मर जाती. तो बड़ा उनके ऊपर एहसान है. तो फिर अगर उनके लिए, यानी कि आपका फिर मीनिंग ऑफ ये स्लोली मोर एंड मोर इंट्रोस्पेक्शन. मेडिटेशन भी क्या है, ये अब हु इज़ इन इज़ द बेसिक कौन, कि आपको क्या अंदर है. तो इंट्रोस्पेक्शन से स्टार्ट होता है. तो अगर आपको ये आंसर मिला है कि उनके लिए मैं नहीं मर रही, तो ये तो नेगेटिव आंसर है. फिर उनके लिए कर क्या रहे हो? अगर उन्हीं के लिए जिंदा हो तो इसी को बहुत इंटेंसिटी दे दो, मैं तो जिंदा ही उनके लिए हूँ, मम्मी क्या आपकी हेल्प करूँ, उछलो कूदो, मम्मी कैसे क्या बात करूँ, क्यों दुखी हो, आपके चेहरे पे सैडनेस है, मैं आपको पेडिक्योर कर दूँ, जब जिंदा ही उनके लिए हो तो इंटेंसिटी इज ऑल्सो मिसिंग. एवरीथिंग इज सो ल्यूकवार्म तो वो इंटेंसिटी कैसे आती है? वो जो एक फॉर्मूला है कि यूज़ योर बॉडी, यूज़ योर इमोशंस, नॉट ओनली यूज़ योर माइंड्स. Yes, somebody wants to say something? Yes.
Hello. Yeah. So I wish to say that despite like if my life has a meaning or not, I wish to help others, and I've been through a lot. My family like kind of kicked me out. So, but still, I want to be there for others because I don't want people to face what I have faced. So that's the only reason I am not committing suicide.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we all are doing this. We are in the process of helping others. We are helping ourselves. Mathematics teaching was so boring. I took a voluntary retirement, and now I'm teaching love. I'm in the service of love. So that is giving me, that's my kick. So I'm helping others in finding love in their heart and love in their relations. Yes, living for others, yeah. But then there has to be put the intensity should be there, yeah. Yes, somebody else?
Yeah, I think the response that came to me was कि ये मीनिंग है नहीं है, क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, मुझे अच्छा लगता है जीना. मीनिंग मिले तो ठीक, ना मिले तो ठीक, मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है जीना तो मैं जी रहा हूँ. मैं सुसाइड क्यों सोच भी क्यों रहा हूँ.
हाँ बिल्कुल सही है. मैंने उसको बड़ा एक्सट्रीम वर्जन दे दिया क्योंकि मेरे पास ऐसे ही लोग आते हैं कि वो सब स्पेशली यूथ, हमारा जो एज है एक्चुअली हमने वो देखा है मज़ा, वो गुल्ली डंडा, वो पिट्ठू करना, वो हम उस जनरेशन से आते हैं. हमने टेक्नोलॉजी भी देखा, हम भी अरे यार इतनी देर से मैं यही देख रही थी, यूट्यूब को एक्सप्लोर करी जा रही थी, बंद करो इसको, क्योंकि हमने वो देखा है. बट अभी का जो जनरेशन है वो इतने उसमें आते हैं कि जीना ही क्यों, अच्छा ही नहीं लग रहा है. उनका बेसिक ये होता है कि मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा लाइफ में, तो वहाँ से कैसे उसको लेके जाएंगे. तो यू आर सेइंग कि हाँ कुछ तो मीनिंग है बट फाइंडिंग मोर मीनिंग. तो देन वी हैव टू हैव अ रूट. ये तो डिसाइडेड है कि एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग हमें ऐसे चिड़िया और ऐसे जानवर की तरह नहीं रह सकते, हमें ये इसको फेस करना ही पड़ेगा. अनबियरेबल लाइट, ये तो ये जब तक मीनिंग नहीं मिलेगा तो हमें बहुत अनबियरेबल होता है जीना. तो मीनिंग हमें चाहिए. किसी के लिए जैसे मिस्टर मेहरोत्रा ने कहा सबके लिए अलग अलग होगा, किसी के लिए मीनिंग सबके लिए अलग अलग होगा, पर उसी को ढूंढना चैलेंज है. अगर हमें पता चल जाए वाई वी आर लिविंग, देन हाउ टू डू इट विल मैनेज. इफ़ आई एम लिविंग फॉर दिस पर्पज़, कि जो पर्पज़ मिल जाए, फिर उसको कैसे, हाउ वी विल मैनेज. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज़ कि वाई. यस, क्या कह रहे हैं.
तो पहली बार जब ये क्वेश्चन आया था, जो पहली जॉब छोड़ी थी और ट्रैवल पे निकल गया था बैकपैक पे, और तब पहली बार इंडिया हैबिटेट सेंटर आया था, पहली बार ओपेरा की स्क्रीनिंग देखी थी. वापस घर पे मम्मी पापा ने बुलाया तो जाने के लिए गया, तो दोस्त के घर पे रुका हुआ था. तो उनके पापा ने मुझसे पूछा कि क्या सीखा, क्या किया इतने दिनों में. तो एक लाइन आई कि हाथ में मोबाइल फ़ोन है या तो कुछ भी है, ये सब ह्यूमैनिटी ने दिया हुआ है मुझे, तो इसकी एवोल्यूशन के लिए काम करना है, उसके डेवोल्यूशन के लिए काम नहीं करना है. पूरी प्रोसेस के अंदर नहीं सोचा था ट्रैवल के अंदर कि क्या करना है, क्या पर्पस है. वो अंडरलाइंग करंट था, पर सिर्फ ऑब्जर्व किया, और जब वो क्वेश्चन आया तो अपने आप ये जवाब निकल गया.
यस.
पर वो जो मोर वाली बात आपने करी ना, वो अभी भी अनरिजॉल्व है, कि मोर और इंटेंसिटी वाली जो बात है.
हाँ, तो उसके लिए रूट यही है कि सबसे पहले वेलकम द रियल एक्सचेंज ऑफ एनर्जी इन रियल स्पेस. तो मैं एक लास्ट एक्सरसाइज कराती हूँ, टेक जस्ट 2 minutes, देन ओवर टू यू. जो भी पास पास बैठे फेस टू फेस हो जाए, मे बी यू गेट योर आंसर ऑल्सो, मोर मीनिंग. फेस टू फेस ऐसे ही हो जाए, जरा सा मुड़ जाए, आंखों में देखना. यू हैव टू लुक इन टू ईच अदर्स आइज. कॉपी वॉपी छोड़ दें, सब कॉपी वॉपी छोड़ दें, खड़े हो जाएं, स्टैंड खड़े हो जाएं, कोई भी कंफर्टेबल स्पेस में खड़े हो जाएं. जो भी पास पास बैठे हैं, 2 मित्र कोई भी, एक दूसरे के हाथ पकड़ लें, छोड़ दें सब कुछ. जब छोड़ेंगे तो पकड़ेंगे ना. हाथ पकड़ लें एंड स्टैंड एट अ फ्रेंड्स डिस्टेंस, नॉट एट अ स्ट्रेंजर्स डिस्टेंस दूसरा होता है, एट अ लवर्स डिस्टेंस दूसरा होता है, एट अ फ्रेंड्स डिस्टेंस दूसरा होता है. कुछ लोगों के हाथ बहुत स्ट्रेच हैं, तो कम क्लोजर सो दैट यू आर स्टैंडिंग एट अ फ्रेंड्स डिस्टेंस. यस. नाउ हमारा दूसरा जो है, हमारा बोलने में बहुत एनर्जी जाता है. हर एक कोई बहुत अच्छा ऑडिटर है, हर एक कोई बहुत अच्छा स्पीकर है, बट एनर्जी एक्सचेंज इस टाइम हम बोल के नहीं करेंगे, आँखों से करेंगे. look into each other's eyes. No talking, no talking. It's just a small exercise. It's the oneness. Whole universe is one. Just see into each other's eyes. How it feels. Just without talking, keep on looking. Is it so difficult that some people are not doing it? Just look into each other's eyes. This is facing the life right now. The psychologist on the video screen, she said to make the connections. So you are making the connection just with eyes. Without talking, just looking into each other's eyes. Okay, say thanks to each other, bow down, namaste, and please have a seat. How many people felt a connection with the other? How many people? Please feel a connection with me now. Yes. May I have your attention? How many people? Yes. I want to have your attention for one more minute. How many people felt the connection with the other? Please raise your hands. Be honest. How many people felt the connection? Almost 70-80% people felt that connection. Yes, because we are connected. You felt? Yeah, whatever connection, yeah. That was also the message from that psychologist. The messages are the same because we all have brainstormed so much that the findings are almost the same. So yes, connection with yourself or connection with the other, it is also a step, means energy exchange in real space. Means we are always so addicted to the phones, so that time spent is not useful in finding the meaning of life. Of course, we can have knowledge, but meaning is something very deep. Why Buddha left the home? Because knowledge to pura tha. That what is that ultimate reality or what is that? What is that? So these are small steps. जब तक हम फाइनल सेटिस्फाई हो ही नहीं सकते, मे बी अभी कितना परसेंटेज मुझे सेटिस्फेक्शन आया है बिकॉज आई हैव ट्रैवल्ड दैट रूट सो फार, और भी परसेंटेज आएगा, बट देयर इज मतलब आई फील कि आई हैव अ मैप, आई एम मूविंग द राइट डायरेक्शन टू हैव दैट मीनिंग इन कंप्लीट सेटिस्फेक्शन विद मे बी इन दिस लाइफ और अनदर लाइफ, बट यू हैव टू हैव दोज concepts clear कि how we will move on this route. So thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. I think both your pieces have been so interesting and have left us with, and I'm sort of constantly reminded of what you keep saying, you know, method and wisdom, and I really think that, you know, the two things have come together in some way. You know, it's the journey of a lifetime, you know, and all we can hope, I think, from our end is that each of us is able to undertake that journey in as meaningful way possible. If meaning is what you're wanting, if you can be as light as the bird, not worry about meaning at all, that will be amazing. Yes, we have one question.
I had a quick question, which was basically the last exercise that you did, which was trying to find a connect or a moment of stability with another person. I think we are at a certain generation where there's more importance given to finding connection with yourself and not finding connection with another person, which is why doing that exercise is more awkward. And I'm conflicted. I want to find connection with other people, but people tend to find that overbearing. Let's put it. And therefore, it's always said, hey, find meaning with yourself. But as social animals, how do I just find meaning in isolation?
Yes, very interesting question. Yeah. I have my trainings from Osho University, Netherlands, in emotional wellness. The whole work is social meditation. What Osho did, he proposed active meditations, because the Buddhas and Vipassanas, they were wonderful methods, but some people in this complex world, they are not able to sit silently and watch the breath. Maybe. So Osho is coming with all the proposals of active meditations, which are using body more, emotions more, and catharsis, emotional catharsis, dancings, musics. And this disciple of Osho, Viresh in Netherlands, the Dutchman, he's no more now, but I have the opportunity to meet him. So he designed a term, social meditations, because in the West, they were feeling very this unbearable heaviness of being in isolation. People are living in their flats, and they are coming for the workshops. So again, if we tell them, go and sit and watch your breath. So those methods were very therapeutic when we get them interact with each other. That yeah, it was awkward because it was just like this, an exercise. But slowly, and it is also Vigyan Bhairav Tantra Sutra also. Sometime we can see, like the other is mirror, and it is like the well. We find ourselves in the other's eyes also. So yeah, it was awkward, but it is a method. So I just wanted to give a taste. If it is feeling so awkward, then we can introspect, yeah, maybe the circumstances were like that this normal piece of thing is awkward to me. Because that was the Aparna was telling me, na, ki if we are, the psychologists say, you are abnormal. Let us fit you into the society. But what we get, we are the misfit. I am the misfit. That's why I got Osho and all the path. I'm misfit, but there's no problem. Then that search is on and on. So if whatever you get the insights about you, it is moving on the path. Thank you.
As closing comments, we'll have to wrap, unfortunately. As closing comments, I mean, I'm the lady who just asked a question. I'm reminded of, again, something that you said and said right now as well, Mr. Mehrotra, which is that the trouble is that we take ourselves too seriously. It is in softening the self, that perhaps some answers lie. So I'm just wondering what your response would be to her, and then we will wrap.
No, I don't have a different. See, I think that, so three things I want to flag. Firstly, I think there's a great misunderstanding about the Buddha. The Buddha did not have knowledge. He left not because he was looking for something for himself. He saw the suffering of others and set out in order to understand suffering and or dissatisfaction and craving, and how we could be liberated from that craving. And this is also Osho's commentary on the Buddha. He's written a beautiful
all meditation halls, all Osho meditation halls are named correct. Buddha Hall.
So it was that's what he did. Now, again, that this aspect of social this connection. Now, tomorrow, if you were to try and establish eye contact, as a general, there is a difference between the intimacy of eye contact and people, and let's not forget that Osho himself spent long periods of in isolation, and otherwise he could not have been as prolific as he did. So he designed these methodologies for particular contexts and groups. And the genius of every great teacher, including and especially Osho, was to devise initiatives and projects and techniques that are suitable for you, or you, or you. So the point is, and it depends who you confront. Now we know we all have uncomfortable body language. You will have men who have different motivations and intentions. So it could be extremely uncomfortable and in fact counterintuitive if you were to get into an intimate eye contact relationship with someone who may be leering at you during that process of eye contact. So it is the essence of the quest or the journey is the individualization of it, and for us to be able to choose. So she has proposed an excellent exercise. Now, you should not feel any self-inflicted pressure that this is what I need to do in order to achieve something. It is a method, it does not work for me. And that is perfectly reasonable. It is because we have reached, as she pointed out, a culture of conformity, that we want to conform to somebody's particular prescription. And I just want to conclude with this, and I conclude every session I can with it, because I see in someone like the Dalai Lama that he is willing to go to a mosque and do the namaz because he believes that philosophy, that technique, that practice is legitimate. He will go to a church and sing a Christian hymn, he will go to a gurdwara. And that each one of us, and please never forget this, that we are responsible for ourselves. We need a particular mental diet and a particular mental exercise. Just as we need a physical diet and a physical exercise, without both these sets, we will not fulfill ourselves as human beings. So this is not at all to undermine the process. And I think the genius of Osho was that he provided a variety, such a rich variety of methods to suit all kinds of people. And ultimately, either you make the selection, and yesterday I had this, the psychiatrist friend of ours, and I was a little disturbed. He said, the psychiatrist has replaced the teacher. No, there is a difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist and an Osho or a Dalai Lama or the Buddha or the Prophet. And that is, in a very intense manner, they take deep responsibility and a mutual, it's like the Guru-Shishya relationship, where your karmas, I was been talking to Aparna the other day, about samaya. And samaya is the deep bonding relationship which one takes complete responsibility for the others. And that is not possible in a large group context. So I'm afraid no escape. You have to take responsibility for your own lives, and it would be very unskillful to abdicate it to anyone, including all the things I've said, which is don't do this or do that. That's where I'm coming from. So my view is that don't abdicate. And ultimately we find meaning when we are able to take responsibility for our choices, for our actions, and to constantly use discrimination. And the difference between the bird, who does suffer, as we've seen animals suffer, or elephant mourning when they lose someone, is that we have volition. And you have to exercise that volition. There is no magic bullet.
Indeed. If at the end of the session you are as confused as you were before, I think somewhere that is the intention, because there are no clear answers, right? This is not an answer sheet that you fill out and then you'll get, 5 marks here and 6 marks there or whatever. There is no 100 on 100. It is a journey, and we all have to struggle to find our own answers, and they'll all be different answers, right? So my answer will be different from Mr. Mehrotra's and Dr. Rastogi's and from each one of you. And that is the big responsibility that I think both of you have referred to. It is a responsibility that is ours, and only we can fulfill it. That might seem daunting, but actually it's a fun journey, I would say. It's a very fun journey, and I hope that each one of you is able to embark on that journey. And on that note, let me thank my wonderful panelists. Thank you so much. And